Just talk us through the journey there, because you've obviously got 180 kids, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah,
that you're coaching. Where did it begin, and how quickly or how long did it take to get to that point? Because that's an amazing amount of kids to be coaching just at one location. With the age ranges that you're looking at as well. Because we're in sort of a catchment area where I'm trying to take Isaac to different places. Sometimes there might be 10, sometimes there might be 3 or 4, but certainly not nearby. There certainly isn't the number of kids that you're coaching. So it'd be interesting to learn about how you've got to that point, and also it'd be interesting to talk about getting golf into schools as well, because we're quite conscious that the earlier that you can introduce kids to golf, the better. But there isn't really that, certainly in our local area, that's introducing kids to golf that early, certainly from the ages 5, where where your coaching is beginning from.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the first point, of sort of how we got there, it's well worth saying though, just because we have 180 kids, it doesn't mean that another coach that's only got 3 or 4 or 10, that doesn't mean I'm doing a better or a different job. It just means there's more. It's exactly. Not like a quantity is not quality. That's 2 very different things, as we all know. But mine kind of just grew, I guess, kind of naturally. We had, when my very, very first venue, it was a quietish venue. There wasn't a massive amount going on. But I just set up a junior, sort of taster session. I was brand new, so I was no good at it. I didn't know what I was doing. Just set up a taster session, had 8 kids come along. I think I signed all 8 of them up for like the next 6 weeks of coaching, sort of thing. So every 6 weeks, I knew there was going to be a little bit of a paycheck. To be honest, that was because I was fresh out of uni, so I was in the hole financially. I needed some dollar quick. So every 6 weeks, it was like, oh great, I'm going to get a couple £100 in the bank, and that was massive for me. I didn't do any shop work or anything like that. I was purely a golf coach. So at first it just was like, well, let's just keep doing that, and it just kind of blew up really from then. So it was maybe 6 or 8 months later, I had a whole Saturday of coaching, where it was just purely kids coaching, and then started branching out when I was too busy on a Saturday throughout the week, and opened up a Thursday, and it just kind of spiraled out of control, and it ended up just becoming what I wanted to, what I really started focusing on. And then just doing the kids pretty much, and just focusing on that. So now there's 19, something like that, groups each week, that we have kids in, almost 10 in each one, with myself and a leader that deliver the sessions.
Yeah, amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think one of the questions that crops up quite a lot is, of the parents that you speak to, and again, this is about sort of junior participation into golf, we've generally found that they've been introduced to golf through a parent that plays, and Isaac is no different to a lot of kids. What do you find with the kids that you're coaching? Is there an element of that their parents are naturally just wanting to get them involved in a game that they know, or how much of the kids that you coach is born out of like the parents don't know anything, the kids just shown an interest, and it's been led that way round instead?
Yeah, I think you get a bit of both, really. I mean, if you were to just look at the population of our parents and just ignore the children, and you just looked at the parents, there would be more golfers in there than a standard than the overall population, if you see what I mean. So there's definitely more parents that play golf that want to get their kids involved in golf. Numbers off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to go and dig it out and figure it out. But there's certainly a massive group of them that have no idea, that parents have no idea, and they just wanted them to try something new. We get a lot of sort of referrals from other kids where, Jimmy goes over to Stonebridge, does his golf, he loves it, and then we just get another kid that comes along and gets in contact with us through that. So that's probably where we get a lot of the non-golfing parents. There's not a massive amount of traffic at the club that aren't golfers. It is a golf club essentially, so there's no like gym or any other reason really for them to be there. And then promotion, apart from Instagram, we don't really do any external marketing or anything at the moment, purely because we don't really need to. We're kind of fortunately enough that it's snowballing really. I think that's the way to put it. It's just the snowball effect of having such a high number. You just end up finding more.
Just to backtrack a little bit then, so who introduced you to golf?
It was my old man. So yeah, I was a typical. My dad, he used to play golf. He wasn't a member of a club or anything. Just used to dabble every so often, have a little go. Played off about 14, I think. So yeah, he used to play golf. But he was a bit like me, I guess. When I was a kid, he used to play. He was a squash coach. He used to just play all sorts of sport. That was all we did pretty much as a kid. My dad and I just played sport.
That's good.
Amazing. Quick question with regards to tips for parents that may be seeing it, whose kids are showing a bit of an interest in golf. What's the best advice generally when they first approach you in terms of, I mean, because like Jade said before, you've got the technicals, you've got the fundamentals, quite boring, archaic stuff when it comes to golf itself. So how do you communicate that with parents who are sort of a little bit less engaged with golf generally themselves?
So your parent that doesn't have an active role in or doesn't play golf.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing it has to be just creating a passion. We have to try to make sure that not only that the kids have got a real good passion for golf, that they want to keep playing it. No child's gonna want to keep coming back and playing more and more golf, whether that's in sessions or on the course, if they're not enjoying it. Just like it's the same for an adult. Like I wouldn't go and play badminton every week unless I enjoyed it, for example. I just wouldn't do that. So it's no different for a child. Sometimes it's easy for that to get lost a little bit. And it becomes sort of, well, let's get on to those fundamental basics, and making sure they're holding it the correct way and things like that. Whereas the reality is, if he doesn't care about golf and if he doesn't want to improve his golf, which is another conversation entirely possibly, then why would he want to change his grip? What's the purpose of that? And if he was to drop out in 6 weeks' time, well, that was just a lot of wasted effort, wasn't it? So yeah, when it comes to fundamental, going back to our conversation earlier about no parents really want their kids to, straight away, they don't necessarily want them to be a tour player. They just want them to find a hobby that they enjoy.
Yeah.
But you still get some parents that will perhaps get overly involved I'm talking about in coaching here. So perhaps overly involved in a session where, you've got to stand like this and you've got to hold it like that, instead of just letting the child just explore and just smack a ball because it's fun to smack a ball.
Yeah.
So at which point we will often have a conversation with them and just have a chat to them about what the purpose is of our coaching and the purpose of them coming along, and talking to them about that and saying that you can't create a golfer in 20 minutes, but you can put them off the rest of their lives in 20 minutes if you make it too kind of stuffy and this way and that way. So it's a very kind of open conversation really, and we let all the parents know that what to expect with our program with coaching and playing, that it's not going to be this way and that way, and it's just, let's just see where the wind blows with the kids and what they want to do.